If you were paying attention last night to the NBA draft, which I wouldn't have blamed you if you didn't, there was a very, very high likelihood that nothing was going to go down as far as things that are surprising Nuggets-wise.
No.
They were in a position, and I'm a fan, that they didn't do anything in the draft yesterday. If you only have, if you're thinking about making moves and you're considering doing some things to try and improve your team, teams that reside in championship windows and are competing for championships do not typically get better on nights like last night. I saw a lot of people pining for a few different dudes that they thought would look good in a Nuggets uniform. And I'm like, you know what? They very well might. It's not even about that. They might look like somebody that could be a long-term fit. I am so disinterested in the long term, though. I mean, the long term was kind of what Calvin Booth was playing with. That's why he stockpiled a whole bunch of draft picks and threw them on the roster. And then, none of them got used. A little bit of Peyton Watson, a skosh of Julian Strawther, and Christian Brown was the exception. I don't think nights like last night is how a team in the Nuggets position improves. At least not in the immediate. The teams that were really excited to use the draft yesterday were teams that have kind of waved the white flag heading into next year. Now, you can have a couple of exceptions, I suppose, that are in there. But for the most part, that's who you're talking about. Plus, really hard to keep track of who's going where on draft night. I always get confused because you see that happen live, and then I go back and I try and read it on a draft recap site. And you're like, okay, so this team got the guy, but they traded him to somewhere else and blah, blah, blah. It's hard to keep track of. I mean, the one thing that I didn't like hearing was that Oklahoma City drafted Nick Clifford. Now, they did end up trading that pick, but I don't even like that he had to take the photo with the hat. That was bothersome. But Clifford was traded to Sacramento after the pick was made. But I don't think you get better on nights like last night. If the Nuggets were to make a move yesterday, I hoped it would have been for a proven commodity, and they ended up not doing anything, and that's fine. If you really want to think about it, if you are outside the realm of really making a huge, substantial change, and I kind of wonder where this new brain trust with the Nuggets are at on that idea. If they are open to it, or they are very much in the risk-averse category. There is a danger, no matter who we're talking about, whether it's Jamal, whether it's MPJ, or whoever, trading them to get other pieces in which you are not as good as you were in the starting five previously. That's a real thing. As much as some people don't necessarily like Michael Porter Jr., as much as they don't really like, at least in some cases, Jamal Murray, there is, I think, a really difficult point in which you reach the conclusion that for sure, whatever trade you made in dealing them, you get better on the back end. That you know it for sure. You might. I also think there's a really good shot that you might not. And I guess here's the idea. Last year, you made 3 moves in the offseason, essentially. three at least major moves. One was trading up in the draft last year to take Deron Holmes, who obviously had the surgery and was out for the year, immediately like a game into Summer League. The second major move you made was using your MLE contract on Dario Saric, who did not play. The third was signing Russell Westbrook to a vet minimum, which was by far the best and would have been a good signing even had the other two moves worked. Westbrook was going to play no matter what and probably give you decent minutes. Say what you want about Russell. He was way more good than he was bad last year, even in moments where he was bad. But those were the three moves that you made. Now, we all kind of look at this Deron Holmes, and he's the interesting one. Because Holmes, there's an assumption out there that Holmes is going to be somebody that automatically gets on the floor and gets minutes and does good for you. And I hope that's the case. I just don't know how we would know that.
Well, now that Michael Malone's gone, a rookie might actually get some playing time, so he'll see the floor next year. That's good.
You know what's weird? I feel like Deron Holmes might have, even with Malone last year. And it's purely, Nelly, out of necessity. Because who else was playing?
Right, and they drafted him specifically to be a stopgap in the big man position in the non-Jokic minutes. Yeah. That is his exact role. So I'm with you. I have a feeling he actually would have played because it's not like anyone else found stability in that backup role.
I mean, it's him or DJ, and I think you would at least have been given a shot because I know how they feel about DJ because they played him and then they didn't when games started mattering. When he got towards the end of the regular season and in the postseason, they didn't put him in anymore. But he's sort of the X factor, I would say, to this offseason. But I didn't want a new guy again in the draft yesterday. I didn't. I'm glad that the Nuggets didn't do it. Because I don't know how you would use them. Look, I went back and looked this up. Rookies to play in the NBA Finals over the last, I think this is 2 decades. Or no, last decade. There's been about 4 players that played real minutes in an NBA Finals. It was Derek Lively last year when Dallas made it. He averaged 23 minutes a game. It was Christian Brown, when the Nuggets won it, who played 16. Still not a ton, but did play. And then in the same finals back in the bubble, the Heat had both Kendrick Nunn and Tyler Hero getting 23 and 35 minutes a game. But that's it. Those are the only dudes that really played in an NBA Finals as a rookie, which just tells me what would be the purpose in getting another guy yesterday? Like, I would not want to take the risk of somebody not working out. And then you're stuck with another bench player who's under contract that you can't really get rid of and you can't play. I want all of your resources and focus to be solely on people that are known commodities at this point. I'm not asking for superstars. I'm just asking for a couple of guys that you'd feel comfortable giving 15 minutes a game to. And it wouldn't be a question about it.
I ain't asking for the world here.
Texture says, starting to feel like the Nuggets are one-hit wonders like all the haters said. I don't think that's the case. It doesn't have to be anyway. The Nuggets are still a very good basketball team, and that's the thing. You know what you're fighting for? Like, you aren't fighting the battles that some of these previous champions are. Milwaukee's lost. They have Giannis, and they don't know what to do right now with their team. They don't even know how to construct it, really. They had one formula, and then they gave up on that, and they traded away Middleton and a few other pieces. They brought in Dame. They're like, you know what? Let's just go for superstar to superstar, match them up together, have the Infinity Stones, and see if that's going to work. But then they snapped their fingers and nothing happened. You know, the Boston Celtics took a team that won a title last year and said, sayonara to at least two major pieces of that roster, and probably more than that before this offseason's done. The Nuggets still possess one of, if not the best starting five in the NBA. Their responsibility is filling out the pieces around it, and that is a much easier problem to have than the other two teams that I mentioned that are previous champions.
But in honor of that text, it's got me thinking, what are some of your favorite one-hit wonders? Like, maybe we open up the text line. What are your favorite one-hit wonder songs? I don't know, one-hit wonder movies? What are some good one-hit wonders?
What is a one-hit wonder movie?
I just mean, instead of having a franchise, which is a good one-off movie, instead of Harry Potter 6.
Yeah.
Are there one-hit wonder movies? I don't know. Or shows that had one good season?
I would say more, well, that could be one. I would say more like an actor that had one really good movie and you never saw him again.
That's a better way to put it, yeah.
Yeah, Texas, go ahead. Hit it up. But I don't think the Nuggets are that. Like, they don't have, this is a team that is still feared. I mean, everybody, I believe, in the Western Conference fears the Nuggets except for Minnesota. I think Minnesota's the only one that maybe doesn't. But Oklahoma City, you can't tell me that they wouldn't be nervous getting into another playoff series. Another one with the Nuggets next year. Despite the fact that they're champions and all that, they would be like, okay, well, that wasn't easy. By the way, we got another keyword coming your way in about 7 minutes, so stay tuned for that. More keywords. We got 2 more days of keywords. That's it. Like a texter says, trade MPJ, the dude has peaked. I'm not against the idea. I'm not. I need you to absolutely be positive that whatever you do on the back end of that makes you better.
I'm positive.
You have to be. Like, there has to be a guarantee. If you traded Porter for KD or something, which is not going to happen because he already got traded to Houston. But I'm just saying, something like that, then you could. But I will remind you guys over and over again of teams that felt like they weren't good enough, went for the big swing, and it didn't work. Already brought up Dame in Milwaukee. Look at what Phoenix did. Phoenix was in a position where they were kicking the snot out of some people. And then they said, you know what we really need is to super team this thing up with Bradley Beal. And then they missed the play-in this last year. Like, I don't think that's the strategy. If your solution to the offseason is we need to trade and break up our starting five, that's not the answer. Now, if you're saying it's necessary to build more depth on the back end, I guess I can get with that. But there's still a giant inherent risk in breaking up something that's already really working when your focus should just be fixing the pieces around it.
Speaking of the Suns, by the way, they still have not won a playoff game since Matt Ishbia stole the ball from Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Because they lost the next 2 games, I believe, to the Nuggets. Then they got swept the next year in the playoffs. And then, like you said, this year they didn't have any success.
Right.
So you know what, Ishbia? You've cursed your team in multiple ways. That's what you get for stealing the ball from Jokic, you hack.
Pretty much. What does Jokic say? The basketball gods are always watching? Something like that?
Always watching.
Got another keyword in about 5 minutes, broadcasting for the Backus and Shanker Studios. Their passion is justice. Back after this. All right, got another keyword coming away in just a second. You were talking about one-hit wonders. Teacher says Titanic is a great one-hit wonder. I've tried to suggest this to everybody I can think of because the text says Mindhunter is about to become a two-hit wonder. Mindhunter is one of the best shows that I think Netflix has produced. It's lasted 2 seasons. It was amazing, and then the show just stopped. Not because it was bad. It was, I don't know if it was budgetary things or what, but David Fincher, and if you know him, David Fincher is incredible. He produced the show, and they just stopped doing it. So David Fincher, he did like Seven, he did Fight Club, he did Zodiac,
He also did the Social Network. Yeah.
He did Gone Girl, he did The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, like all these amazing movies. And he did this show, and the show was great, and then they just stopped doing it, and I don't understand why. The show was amazing.
And did they leave it on a cliffhanger, so now you don't know what's going to happen?
Yes.
It's just done?
So here's like the crux of the show, and I'll give the keyword in a second. The crux of the show is it's the beginning of the FBI when they start to basically tag the name of serial killers. And so they go and they interview a bunch of them. So they get a whole bunch of these guys playing like Son of Sam and Charles Manson and a whole bunch of different dudes. Ed Kemper. And they try and get background to try and stop this stuff in the future. So it's based on like a real story of these FBI detectives. And in the background, they got like the BTK killer that it looks like it's leading up to them like catching this guy. And then the show just stopped. Pissed me off. It's a great show. Keyword for this hour. Because we have 12 keywords a day for our core 4-score contest. Autographed jerseys for Jokic, Murray, Gordon, Porter. Every hour on the 20s, each show gives away a keyword. The keyword for the 6 o'clock hour is cider, like apple cider. Cider. So text that in your first and last name to 303-504-0925. That is 303-504-0925. You know what I found out recently, by the way? That I'm a cider guy. I had a couple of ciders, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I've been missing out on this my entire life. I like ciders.
Yeah, unlike your triple IPAs, ciders actually have flavor. It's pretty good.
Oh, there's a flavor to them. Trust me. But it's cider in your first and last name, 303-504-0925. That's all special thanks to our friends at Revitalized Health, custom health solutions to revitalize your health today. Revitalize-health.com. So, again, I was watching the Rockies last night, and this hell of a storm just kind of rolls through. And you get another tight game. Rockies are in it. The bats aren't really working last night. Yamamoto has his really good start. It's a 3-1 game in the 7th. So Jake Bird starts it out. He eventually gives up bases loaded, but there's 2 outs. They make the change over to Tyler Kinley. 3 pitches later, grand slam, ball game, good night. I'm not going to keep yelling about it. I don't know what else I can really say. It's just, I don't know how much more evidence I can present, okay? I don't know how much more can be there. But all in all, like throughout the night, Chase Dollander, he gets the loss, but I thought it was a decent start from him. Didn't rack up many strikeouts, but only 3 hits in 5 2/3 innings. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about this. You got a reliever who's over 7 for an ERA in a bullpen that's pretty good. I'm sorry. Anywho, few things here. As we approach the offseason, we'll talk to Jeff Legwold at 9 o'clock this morning. I do have questions about Broncos stuff moving forward because it's still a very interesting concept that you have made some major moves in changing things defensively. Like you've added to what was already a strength for you. And I'm trying to figure this out because I spent a good deal of time making fun of the Cincinnati Bengals for not signing the first-round pick yet. But the Broncos are the only other team in that category. They have not signed Jahdae Barron. And I'm trying to figure out why. I want Jahdae. I want this guy ready for all of the different things that camps and OTAs and everything else has to offer. It's not like I'm nervous he's not going to be signed because this is not the NFL from 15 years ago where a first-round pick can hold out like past the start of the regular season. I'm just questioning why is this? Things are kind of stacked in place for you to get the signing done. And it's something I want to talk about with Jeff Legwold a little bit later. But you make these investments on the defensive side, and the hope here is that you improve on what was already a giant strength. If you can put the Broncos, who finished the year, it's interesting, they started the year really great defensively. They had a few games in which they really struggled. And then they kind of brought it back at the end of the year. Now, I do think that in the points per game category, pitching a shutout the final week of the season for a Chiefs team that was playing nobody really kind of screwed with those numbers because they went from, I think they were somewhere around 8th or 9th, hovering around 10 all the way to 3 at the end of the year. But one thing was really clear. They were good. They lacked depth in some key areas. Well, they fixed that now. They brought in, well, hopefully, if these guys stay healthy, Greenlaw and Hufanga, who are, they're really talented players who, if given a healthy season, I think can take Broncos to a Broncos defense that was already good last year to a level like I would never say back 2015 stuff, but they'd be really damn good. Really good. And if you have a defense like that, you aren't asking your offense to do much. And I think that is such an underrated quality of what makes successful football teams, is not putting all of the pressure and onus on your offense to make things work and make things go. Like we saw what happened with the Bengals last year. Joe Burrow threw for almost 5,000 yards last season and 43 touchdowns. And it didn't matter because they couldn't stop anyone. They had a receiver last year that had 1,700 receiving yards and 17 touchdowns. It didn't matter because they couldn't stop anyone. Defensively, if you are able to get consistent stops, get off the field on third down, and give the ball back to your offense, you're only asking them to do what they're capable of and nothing more. Play within yourself and play to your strengths. If they're capable of putting up stuff like that, again, on top of being maybe a little bit better in some categories, it's such an advantage. Especially when you're in a division with Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. But let's be honest here. The Chargers and the Chiefs were incredibly successful last season. Really successful. but I'm going to give you a little bit of info on this. Do you know what the average was in yards per game for the Denver Broncos last year? They averaged, in year one with a rookie quarterback with a miserable start to the season offensively, by the way, and no running game to speak of, 325 yards per game, which ranks, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 8, 19th in the NFL. And I will count. 19th. It's not great. It's in the bottom half of the league.
Don't start counting.
You know what the Chiefs were? 327. 2 yards on average more per game. That ranked 17th. You know where the Chargers were? 324. That ranked 20th. You were all in the same ball. I think we look at the Chiefs and we look at the Chargers and their quarterback situations and just assume that those teams are just better than you are on offense. And I'm telling you, last year that was not the case. You average more points per game than them. The Broncos were at 25. The Chargers were 23.6. The Chiefs were at 22.6. The reasons why those teams were able to keep it together was because they were really good on defense. And it wasn't asking Herbert and Mahomes to save them. Now, here's the thing. When the Chiefs had to get a drive out of Mahomes, they did. Almost always. But they didn't need it every single drive. They were able to look at their defensive unit and say, bail me out, keep it close, I'll make the play at the end of the game. And to the Broncos' credit, they did a really good job, I think, last year of not turning the ball over, especially with a rookie QB. You know, their turnover differential was +6 at the end of the year. Bo Nix did throw some interceptions. But if you want to put that in a bigger category, if he had 12 picks, that number, 12 giveaways, as far as throwing interceptions, was right around, I would say, league average for most quarterbacks who were competing last year. Rely on your defense, and then with, I think, a much improved tight end spot, and hopefully a much improved running game, complement that with the defense, and you shouldn't be in a place where you're asking the Broncos to put up 27 points to win a game most weeks. That was exactly what the Chiefs did. I mean, the Chiefs went, let's be honest, they had a one-loss regular season. Or was it 2? Hang on, let me look back and see this again. What did the Chiefs finish again? Yeah, they're 15-2. They had a one-loss regular season. Because I'm not counting the last week against the Broncos where they played nobody. You know how many times the Chiefs scored over 30 points? I think the answer was never. They had one game in which they scored 30 in overtime against Tampa Bay. And that was it. No. They had one more. They scored 30 points on the button against Carolina. So they scored in regulation 30 points once, and they won, or they lost one game in the regular season out of it. That's it. It's just, for them, they kind of knew where the bread was buttered. They took the opposite approach of what the Bengals did. They had a really good defensive player and a really good offensive player. They chose defense. They let guys like Tyreek Hill walk to say, you know what I'm keeping? Chris Jones. The Bengals did the opposite. They said between T. Higgins and Trey Hendrickson, who's more important? They said T. And I think that's the wrong approach. It's why I appreciate it. For a guy, and this is also difficult. This is where you got to give Sean Payton credit. For a guy who is offensive-minded, They are usually heavily concerned with their side of the football because if things go wrong, you want to make sure that your side is doing their job. And in most cases, you can make strong arguments for coaches with good offenses to stay together longer than coaches with good defense. It's some sort of mindset that a lot of people have that if you're scoring 35 points a game, that your team is like not far off, even if you're giving up 40. But if you're giving up 20 points a game and you're only scoring 17, that all of a sudden is like you're the devil. So Sean Payton, being an offensive-minded guy, goes out this offseason in year 2 of a quarterback where it's pretty obvious he needs a couple more playmakers on there. And he says, you know what we're going to do? We're going to invest our 2 biggest free agent signings and our number 1 draft pick on defensive players. It is a credit to him. It's tough to do. Tell you right now, I'd have a really tough time with it. You give me the option of things that will help our radio show as opposed to this entire sort of workplace that we have, I'm probably being selfish about it, as I think most people would. Oh, we got some money to spend? Why not throw them at some really shiny objects on offense so that where I spend most of my focus on can just take off? And instead, he went the opposite route. But him, in his mindset, because he's mentioned this before, he thinks one of the greatest assets and qualities that you can have for a young quarterback is a good defense, and I think he's exactly right. Not putting that much pressure on his shoulders is big. I'm actually surprised because he had that. Bo Nix had it last year. Not that he didn't have a good defense, but offensively, I mean, when you come out of the gates and your first game is on the road in Seattle and you have to throw the ball 42 times in your first NFL game, that's like, hey, welcome to the NFL. We're just going to throw a lot at you out of the gates. But there wasn't this necessity to be perfect about it. They knew if they made mistakes or if they had a 3-and-out, they had a defense good enough that could make a play for them. And a lot of times late in games, when you think about how games got iced away, it was the defense making a gigantic play. You know, I still kind of think back to last year. And I think a very pivotal moment in the season that could have taken them down a different path. So they lose their first 2 games. Seattle first, and then Pittsburgh. Offense looks miserable. That week 3 game, if you remember, against Tampa was great. Offense looked great. You held them in check defensively. The week after that was that slot mess in New York that you got the win, but I don't think anybody felt super great about it. But take you back to this. The week afterwards, so you're 2-2. What happens is immediately you kick the ball off to the Raiders, and the Raiders in 4 plays go 70 yards for a touchdown, capped off by this 57-yarder to Brock Bowers. They're up 7-0. Then you punt. Raiders come back. They get back inside the red zone, settle for a field goal. They're marching again at the 5-yard line with a chance to go up 17-3. This is still, this is early second quarter. And then you get the pick 6 out of Pat Surtain, which then flipped the game on its ear. The Broncos go back to, by the final score, dominated. It's a huge play. And I think it's one that changed sort of the tide of how the season was going to go. If you lose to the Raiders there, I think things could get ugly. But after that, they start going on a little bit of a run with the exception of some losses against some playoff teams in Baltimore and Kansas City and end up making the postseason. But that was a gigantic play in the middle of that. and it's made by your defense. You know, the pivotal game that you had late in the year against Indianapolis, that game was close until a double reverse gets picked off by Benito, a double reverse pass gets picked off by Benito and taken to the end zone, and then the game's iced that way. They made some huge plays to kind of close out games for you. I think you're just asking for defense now to keep it together. Offense, you now go out and ice the game. One more reminder, that key word for this hour is cider. So text that in your first and last name to 303-504-0925. That's our Core 4 score contest. A chance to win autographed jerseys from Jokic, Murray, Porter, and Gordon. Back after this. I'll tell you something I found distasteful yesterday in watching the NBA draft. This is a day in which your dreams are realized and you hope that you're just taken as early as possible, make some money. You live out your childhood dream, which is playing in the NBA for a professional franchise. And I saw in two different instances what felt like two guys that were pissed to be drafted by the teams that picked them. One of them was very obvious, I think. My wife was the one who pointed it out. Because I was like half paying attention. I was literally I had the TV on, occasionally looking up, and more just kind of listening for anything about Nuggets trade, something like that. And she goes, "Oh, that guy's mad." And I go, "What do you mean?" She goes, "I don't know. This guy was just drafted. He's mad about it." And this Colin Murray Boyles from South Carolina, he gets drafted by the Raptors, stands up, shakes his head, and then mouths the F word to himself before he walks on the stage. Now, I don't know if he's anti-Toronto, if he's anti-Canada, if he was just hoping to be drafted by some team in particular.
You see, he's actually on Team Kendrick Lamar in the Kendrick versus Drake beef, so that's why he doesn't want to go to Toronto.
That's what it is.
Traitor.
Everybody should be Team Kendrick, by the way, because Drake sucks. That guy doing that, it bothered me. And I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. I was like, well, maybe he's just like, my dreams realized. And he's just like, he's shaking his head in amazement. And he's going, oh, F. Wow. Like maybe it was like that. And then I kept watching it over and over again. I was like, no, he's mad. He's definitely mad. And there's another example. If you remember, I mean, how would you feel to be this team? So the Utah Jazz, who were just a few short years ago, Nelly, a contender with Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert and Joe Ingles and Jordan Clarkson and a whole bunch of different guys that made them really formidable. Mike Conley.
Nuggets legend, Donovan Mitchell. Nice.
That team was the worst team in the NBA last year. They won 17 basketball games. And they get jumped over by Dallas for what is largely believed as the next greatest thing in Cooper Flag because they lose the lottery and they drop to second? No. To third? Of course not. To fourth? Get out of here. To fifth in the draft despite being the worst team in the league last year. So they draft Ace Bailey, this guard out of Rutgers, who very clearly and obviously did not want to go to the Jazz. This guy refused to have a workout with Utah, and he let it be known that he did not want to be drafted by the Hornets or the Jazz.
Utah, give me two.
And yet, here we are. And here's my sort of thought process on stuff like that. I don't like when anybody does this. I hated when Eli forced his way to a certain team. I wasn't around when Elway did it, but I would assume if I'm the same person now as back then that I wouldn't like that Elway did it. I think this is part of what sports is. If you are fortunate enough to be in a position where you are drafted and you are making money in a professional sport, then you embrace the team that drafted and believed in you. And to come out of the gates immediately and like right away say, I hate this, I think makes you look like a giant baby.
Brett, can I ask you though? I'm glad you brought this up. I think about this every year. I have never obviously been even close to being drafted in any professional sports league. So I'm not sure what the mentality of those guys is. But you can't tell me if you're a top NFL draft pick and you get selected to the Cleveland Browns, you can't tell me that there's not a little part of your head that goes, bleep this. Or the Jets. Like, great, you get to live in New York, but you get to play for a team that hasn't won crap since Woodstock.
I wouldn't take that mentality at all, and I mean it.
Or actually, for about 40 years, you're Lions. If you get drafted to your Lions, congratulations on doing nothing with your career.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like, when Baker Mayfield was taken by Cleveland, he was psyched. You want to know why? Because he's a professional football player, and you get to be potentially part of the unit that turns things around at a place like that. Like, I truly think that this is just an NBA problem that they have, and I don't know how you fix it, because if there's an entitlement with people who are not, how do I put this? All-world prospects. Look, if you're a top 5, top 10 draft pick, you're a good basketball player. If you're a top 5, top 10 draft pick in the NFL, you're a good football player. I don't think anybody should have the attitude that they're better than someplace else, because you haven't proven anything yet. Nothing. But I'm just telling you, between that Ace Bailey, he made some comments in the post, his press conference, and then seeing that reaction from the dude who was drafted by Toronto, Colin Murray Boyles. I sat there and I was like, this is what your introduction to most people watching your career is going to be, and people in the town that drafted you, is a shake of the head and F word. I can't believe I'm going to this place. Woe is me. I hate it. And I disagree, Nelly. I don't think, even in the NFL, if you're drafted by some suckhole team, if you're drafted by the Clevelands or the Jets or the Lions or anybody else, I think you should have a massive level of gratitude that somebody believed in you enough. You really should. And Texter says, Broncos fans are sure happy Elway acted like he did. Well, yeah, of course they are. I'm sure Giants fans are really happy that Eli acted the way he did. Doesn't mean I got to like it. I think to feel like you're above a process is gross. And that's what I was saying when Dion a year ago was talking about there's some teams that I won't let my kids go to. And I was like, well, then that's a bad attitude. You are not above any other location in this country. You aren't above any other organization in this country. Or in this league, sorry. Like, imagine this. Imagine you draft one of those dudes and they react the same way by being drafted by the Nuggets. Now, it wouldn't happen because the Nuggets are a good basketball team right now, and they have Jokic and all that other stuff, but still, what if they did? Because I'll tell you the way you'd feel about it. You'd feel the way, like you did when Melo said that. When he thought he was better than what Denver was giving him, and he decided to go elsewhere. So, can always watch the show live on Twitch, twitch.tv, search Altitude SR on the search bar, the Altitude TV simulcast, and that is the Safeway Twitch feed. Order online, Safeway does the rest. Get easy delivery or free pickup with the same great deals. Get started at Safeway.com or in the app. You can also watch the show on YouTube. Search Altitude Sports Radio, subscribe to the channel today, and don't miss anything from from Denver's #1 sports station, Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. Moser, Lombardi, and Kane next.
With the first pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Dallas Mavericks select Cooper Flagg from Duke University.
Oh my God, I can't believe it!
That is brand new information!
So the Portland Trailblazers select Colin Cowherd here. This is a young man with the ultimate bet on yourself story.
Win more games, Cub Scout.
That is great. You know, I like Malika Andrews, and I think she does a good job. That's really funny, though. They've taken Colin Cowherd. It's like,
happens.
What kind of game does he have?
Happens. It happens, man.
What's your famous story? Didn't you called somebody by the wrong name a whole lot?
I do it all the time.
Well, yeah, you called me Greg for 2 months.
I mean, I did call you Greg.
Yeah, you did.
Legit.
Yeah. Thinking you were right, by the way. Thinking my name was actually
At
Greg.
no point did I think your name was Brett. And you were co-hosting the show.
I think I actually rolled with it like twice. I'm like, I don't know how do I really correct you and do that?
Mark, I called him Greg for the first 2 months on the air here.
Vic, I'm very well aware of that. And then you went Greg with 3 Gs.
3 Gs, that's right.
G in the front and the 2 in the end, yeah.
Happens.
Colin Cowherd, congratulations.
Final at the Saddle Dome. Here's what's coming up. In the next 30 minutes, Peter will join us here in a second.
Yep.
Break.
Happens.
Penis McNabb.
Hey, what's your biggest stumble? Name stumble. You've had a couple. Well, I mean,
oh
listen,
boy, I don't.
If you're in this business, you're going to make mistakes.
Yeah, you're going to say something wrong.
That's just the way it is. So everybody's all over my girl Malika, but it happens to everyone.
That's true.
I guarantee here's what happened. And Moser, you would know this. As she was saying the name, a producer got in her ear.
Oh, totally.
I'm sure that happens. You don't. There are times, in fact,
100%. So she's in the middle of this thought process, right? She's looking at this person, and then all of a sudden, go ahead, speak, and then I'm gonna get in your ear.
You got okay. So
go ahead, speak.
Yeah. So the Portland Trailblazers.
After this break, we're going straight to. And then after that break, we're going straight to.
It's impossible.
And then after that,
I want to explain this to people because you guys do this all the time, so you guys know it. I'm not versed in that world, okay? I have done some little fill-in stuff on Altitude TV before.
But nobody talks to you, right? Nobody
I
really talks
specifically
to you.
request don't do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not running the show, so it was always like Kim Becker when she was working here or Rachel Goss or somebody like that I was doing the show with it. They were running things. And I was like, don't get in my ear because I'm just going to stumble.
I have seen guys on air, Mose, you've seen this, get so angry that they just pull their IFB out and say, nope, not dealing with it today.
Well, I don't think people understand. You feel like a schizophrenic.
Yes.
You have a voice that's in your head as you're trying to say something else.
But there's a dance, right? There's the right time to do it.
Yes.
There's the right time to do it. You have
shut
to know,
up, Nelly.
You have to know when the person is talking. You have to know when the person is... like, for example, when I'm doing... See, there it is right there. See, yeah, there it is. See? There it is right there. It's knowing when to chime in.
There are times when Riker's making a point. I don't know what he said because the producer is telling me what we're doing coming up here, and vice versa. I mean, I could be calling the game or it's a stoppage in action or whatever, and he's
it's not
talking to Riker.
entirely their fault.
No.
They've got to give you information.
Correct. Yeah. So when you're in the TV world, I don't know about if you're like a news anchor, if it's the same kind of story.
It's worse.
Is it?
It's worse. Doing news because it's quicker, it's faster.
Well, yeah, doing the play-by-play.
Skipping next story.
Doing the play-by-play.
I believe that's a farm term, Moj.
It might
An
be.
old farm term.
The old farm term. They talk in your ear all the time, and
I
so
know.
you've got 100 different things going on. Maybe that's what happened to her. Either way,
but here's
the
the
kid
funny
got
part.
drafted.
But it's funny.
The funniest thing is saying that, and he happens to be working at a competing network to you.
But it's funny.
I mean, that's the other thing too. If you talk about like what's a big like TV battle that used to exist?
Big TV battle?
Like two competing entities.
Yeah, if you were on channel, let's go back to Channel 4 days, right?
Oh yeah, Channel 4, Channel 9, we hated each
Yeah,
other.
let's just say somebody said, "Oh yeah, and Kim Christensen on your air." You're like, "No, you don't. No. You don't do that.
Yeah, it was fierce.
Fierce. Is it like an
It's a
Anchorman
fierce
fight?
battle.
Like an Anchorman
Yeah,
fight?
it was a fierce battle.
Yeah.
Vic killed a guy.
So here's my thought from last night. I had the draft on. It was background noise to me. I was half paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
I was just listening for the word Nuggets to come up, which I don't think did the entire broadcast.
I don't think so either. It
How
was
about all the
pretty boring.
trades that went down, though? I mean, a lot of once you got into the later part of the draft or the middle part of the draft,
I'm glad
draft
that
and
the
trade,
Nuggets,
draft and trade, draft and trade.
I'm glad the Nuggets didn't do anything last night.
I can't believe that the Brooklyn Nets actually took 5 first-round picks.
They actually took them.
That's crazy to me.
And they took. Look, I don't know a lot about the college basketball prospects that were in this, but I was listening to them break down their guards, and they all sound like the same person. They took like 3 guys who were all the same dude, is what it seemed like. Now, I don't know what Brooklyn has up their sleeve or what their plan is moving forward.
They took a dude named Igor.
Igor is, that's a name you got to be wary of. You hear a guy named Igor, you give him his distance. But what I'm getting at is, I don't think if the Nuggets somehow found a way to be a player in last night's draft, I think I would have hated it. I really do. I don't think that they need a rookie.
Unless they traded, again, there was ways to get in the draft and shed a roster spot. You may not have hated it if you shed yourself of players that you don't think have a promising future here.
Sure. I still would rather flip that for something tangible.
But doesn't that draft show you just some of the names that went last night, some of the just how much of a crapshoot it is? Right?
Well, this especially.
Like, how much of a crapshoot is this draft? Outside of Cooper Flag, who can you pound the table and say, that guy's going to be a great
I
pro?
don't know. What's so weird is it used to be I felt like I had a handle on who's going to play and who's not going to play.
A little
right?
bit, yeah.
Now I have no idea about anybody, to be honest. I really have no clue.
By the way, so just a couple things from that draft last night. I was just talking about this a second ago. Here's what I didn't like. One thing I hated. And I know he's not on their team, but when Nick Clifford was announced as an Oklahoma City Thunder player, I've traded to Sacramento, but I didn't like the photo with the OKC stuff with Nick Clifford. That bothered me.
I am so over the NBA's inability to fix that.
Yeah.
You know, why guys get traded and yet their original photos are with the team that drafted them that had no intention of keeping them. Why are we doing that? Still.
Yeah.
Let me go back.
That's what I was talking about yesterday. I hate it.
Let me go back to the 99 NBA draft. See if you know these names, right? Overall number 1, Elton Brand.
Yes.
Clippers. Then came Steve.
Brand was a good player.
Yeah. Then came Steve Francis.
Yes.
Yep.
Maryland, University of Maryland, Steve Francis.
Then came Baron Davis.
Yes, Baron Davis, UCLA.
Then came Lamar Odom.
Yeah.
Lamar Odom, the lefty.
What year is this?
This is 99.
Okay.
Like, you know all these guys, right?
It's crazy how we know everybody.
5th overall pick, Jonathan Bender. Remember him?
I do.
He was a high
Didn't he
school
go to
player.
Portland?
He was a high school player. He went to Toronto.
Toronto, okay.
Then after him was Wally Zerbiak.
Yep.
Then came Rip Hamilton.
Yeah.
Then came Andre Miller.
So all of these guys were players.
Hold on,
And
ready?
they all played.
Then came Sean Marion. Then came Jason Terry. After that, Trajan Langdon.
Wow, Duke.
The Raptors drafted some cat out of Yugoslavia. 13 overall, Corey Maggette.
I liked
It's
Corey.
amazing how different the draft is today.
But I was looking at
You ready?
these.
16th, Ron Artest. 18th, James Posey.
Denver.
24, AK. What was his number?
AK-47?
Andre Kirilenko goes to Utah. I mean, you know all these dudes. Hell, even some second-round dudes. Michael Ruffin.
You know, if you do that today and go through, I watched the draft last night, and there were many times when I'm like, who in the hell is this guy?
Yeah.
Who is this person? Here's the difference. In today's draft, you're drafting guys on a very, very small margin of experience. You're trying to project a player based on, at tops, a year of experience.
Yeah.
A lot of these dudes, right?
Peyton Watson played like 12 minutes a game for 1 year for UCLA, and he was a first-round pick.
That's what I'm saying. And a lot of these dudes that were drafted last night, before the draft, how much of Jeremiah Fears did you watch for OU? How much of Colin Murray Boyles did you watch, who played for South Carolina?
When did this change?
Thomas Sorber of Georgetown. Did you get a good look at Thomas Sorber this season?
I'm trying to figure out when this changed. Like, when did we go from having a good sort of grasp on guys who were drafted to just a whole bunch of dudes?
You say, what's the hyphenated what? What was that? Who's that hyphenated guy?
The guy I mentioned, Colin Murray Boyles.
Yeah, why do dudes have hyphens?
There's a lot of hyphens.
Well, I know for a gal who wants to keep her maiden name, or maybe not even.
That's the name that was given to you.
Here's your hyphen. Like, oh, we have a brand new baby boy. Here's his hyphen.
Well, this dude's got 3 names that there's no hyphens.
Oh, no hyphens?
This guy, Yannick Conan Niederhauser.
I mean, that's a great name, though. I mean, I would keep Yannick Conan Niederhauser. Niederhauser.
Yannick Conan O'Brien.
He's a big old boy, by the way.
The Destroyer.
Did you guys see Danny Wolf, the Michigan forward center who was drafted? When he was drafted, did you get the shot of his family crying?
Mm-mm.
Oh, my God.
His brother?
Oh, my God. It was like a funeral.
So,
why?
There's
Is there something I'm missing there?
No.
I don't
believe so.
I don't want to
anyway.
say anything offensive or insulting here.
No, I'm going to say this, though. There are some people that are just really ugly criers. And there's no really coming back from that.
Moj, look
Sorry,
it up.
bro. You've
Let
been
me check it
mean.
out. Moj, you look up Danny Wolf crying and check out his brother. And I'm looking at that going, I get it. They're happy. But what is going on?
Hang on a second. Danny Wolf.
I don't think I've
Brother.
ever done the cry where my face goes like this.
That was a
Like
funeral
that?
cry. That was
Yeah.
What is going on? What is going on?
I don't know. I don't know.
That's his brother.
Yeah. He's like, I'm going to be his right-hand guy.
I mean, listen,
I'm going to get chicks with his face.
I get emotional all the time. I love being emotional. I love cry. That's like painful cry.
Dude, that's like wailing. Like that's way. I mean, that's
you know
wailing,
what that is? That my child's been abducted type of cry. That's what that is.
Yeah, that's not my brother's been drafted. That's my child's been abducted.
I don't understand.
Yeah, that's the look. You're exactly right, Vic. That's the
painful, like a painful cry.
My family is captured.
Yes.
And I'm watching a live video stream of it, sort of thing.
And they're going to start pulling their teeth out with pliers, and I have to watch it.
Yeah. Yep.
That's
no,
what that
this
cry
is like, what's his face? Lord Samarin just whacked off
what?
the dude's head. It's like from Game of Thrones.
Phrasing.
Where he whacked off Ned Stark's head, remember?
Why did you pause?
I was trying to think of Danny Wolf's brother saw Danny Wolf. And it doesn't even matter now, does it? Now it doesn't even matter. Yep.
I do think
now it's
there
totally
are
irrelevant.
scenes.
I had a good point. Now it's totally irrelevant.
I do think there's scenes of that in Game of Thrones, but that wasn't
Not the scene I was thinking of.
Yeah. Okay.
Our boy.
Also, it'd be an odd face to make if that happened as well.
Right. I guess. Who knows?
Our boy Dan Fellman has a trivia question that you guys could ponder as we go to break. The last college senior, to be drafted number 1 overall in the NBA draft. Doesn't happen anymore. Think about it as we
say that again. I'm sorry. I just keep replaying.
Yeah,
that
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Say that again.
The last college senior to be drafted number 1 overall in the NBA draft. Who was it?
How long ago?
Way back.
Like before 2000?
David Robinson.
No.
Okay.
So 2005.
How way back am I back?
Back.
David
back.
Robinson back? Is
I
that
think-
too far back?
I think it's too far back. Yeah, that is too far back.
Yeah, with Rain.
Kemba?
The answer is Kenyon Martin.
Oh.
Wow.
That's why it's one of the reasons why the draft is hard to follow these days. I mean,
Totally.
we don't know these guys because we don't get a chance to know these guys.
I got it. You know what's bothering me? He looked like somebody. He looks like Greg from Succession. That's who he looks like.
The eyebrows are crazy.
That wild. It
The
almost looks like they're
eyebrows are
morphed
crazy.
with clay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We got another word coming up here.
We got another
Thank
keyword
God.
coming
Save
your
me.
way in 5
Save
minutes.
me.
Stick around.
These are the longest days of the year. Weather's perfect, right? Everything's calling you out to get out and enjoy it. But if you're not feeling up for it, not feeling up to it, not sleeping well, not feeling strong, maybe you need to find out why. Check out the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic. It could be low testosterone. Summer should be when you're feeling your best, rested, sharp, full of energy. If you're missing that gear lately, low T might be your situation. So do yourself a favor. Go to RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. Take the low T quiz. 10 simple questions. Yes, no answers. It's no big deal. And if you think that may be your issue, it happened to me, then schedule an appointment. They've got an expert staff, and they've got 5 locations here in Colorado to serve you from Colorado Springs all the way up to Fort Collins. The number to give them a call to schedule your consult is 720-440-7900. They're going to draw your blood. Results within 30 minutes. You'll find out. 720-440-7900 or go to RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com.
Wax on, right hand.
Whacked off.
Left hand. Wax on.
Whacked off.
Breathe in through nose, out the mouth. Wax on.
Whacked off.
Don't forget to breathe. Very important.
Oh, no. Why are we such idiots? Why? Why, Lord? Lord, I beg of you.
Nelly, your mind
It was
is,
one pregnant pause at the most inopportune time, and now it's going to live forever.
Don't forget to breathe. Very important.
Oh, good Lord Almighty.
Oh, God. So perfect. No, that's not your keyword.
I'm going to be honest with you. Every day on this program,
very important.
I laugh to the point where I get tears in my eyes every single day over something. Usually it's what one of you knuckleheads say, but oh my
I've got
gosh.
some good stuff from our golf yesterday, but I can't post it until I get somebody to show me how to beep out your language. I need to bleep.
Well,
do you know how to bleep stuff out, Nelly?
We'll explain momentarily, Brett. Let's do that keyword.
Yeah,
please.
keyword for this hour, a core four-score contest, a chance for one person to win autographed jerseys from Jokic, Murray, Gordon, and Porter. 12 keywords per day, all on the 20s of each hour. We're doing this all the way through tomorrow, announcing a winner on Monday. The keyword for this hour is snack. So text snack in your first and last name.
Snack.
To 303-504-0925. That is snack in your first and last name to 303-504-0925. Special thanks to our friends at Revitalized Health. Custom health solutions to revitalize your health today. Revitalize-health.com.
Somebody on Twitch or the text line, send me your number. I'll text you this video, bleep it out, and send it back to me.
No, you don't want to send them the raw video to somebody
It's
you
just
don't know.
a curse word I need to bleep out. I don't know how to do it.
Well, that's Nelly. He
Vic,
knows how to do
you can
it.
send it to me. I'll figure it
Nelly,
out.
you got a lot of stuff going on, dude. You just came up with one of the greatest things I've ever heard.
Wax on, right hand.
Whacked off.
Left hand.
Oh, good Lord. Oh, good Lord.
Okay.
Ay, ay, ay.
Hey, what did you guys think of, look, I'm going to say perceived because I don't really know, but perceived disappointment from a couple of those guys being drafted to the teams that were drafted to last night?
Toronto kid? The kid that went to Toronto? Did you hear what he said?
He, I think, is maybe the one that was misconstrued. So he was the one that was drafted. He got up, he shook his head, and he said the F-bomb.
Blank me.
Now, he said, I don't know if, well, he's alluding to, he said that out of shock because he thought he was going later in the draft. That's what he's saying he did.
I don't know.
That for.
His body
didn't
reaction
look like
didn't
that.
look that way.
It looked like I have to live in Canada. I'm not a fan
Colin
of this.
Murray Boyle's a South Carolina product. Doesn't look like he wants to play in Canada.
Right. The one that I think is more bothersome is Ace Bailey, who was drafted by Utah. Now, I want to give you a little background on the Utah Jazz. Just a few short years ago, the Utah Jazz were a viable basketball team with Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Joe Ingles, Jordan Clarkson, making the playoffs, Mike Conley. And now, this past season, they were the worst team in the NBA. How did they get rewarded for being the worst team in the NBA? Did they get the first pick? No. The second? No. Third? No. Fourth? No. They get the fifth pick. They take Ace Bailey, who said before the draft, the two teams I do not want to go to are the Jazz and the Hornets. And they say, I don't care. Welcome to Utah.
Tough kid.
Too bad.
I hate that anybody would have an attitude like that going into the draft. I hate it. You can have your preferences of teams you want to go to. I think everybody has those.
Sure. You just can't say it out loud.
You do not say out loud, I do not want to go somewhere.
A couple picks in this draft, outside of that one, the most intriguing picks to me. First of all, my favorite player in the draft, and I've said this before and after, is that Walter Clayton Jr. kid out of Florida.
He went 18.
He's going to Utah.
Yeah.
You're going to see a lot of Walter Clayton Jr.
He
was
traded
went
to 18.
Utah.
I thought he was supposed to go somewhere in the 20s.
I would never compare anybody to Steph Curry, ever. But let me tell you something. The way he can release his shot reminds me of Steph Curry. He's a tough shot maker. And the NBA is all about shot making, tough shot making. If you watched him in the tournament, some of the shots he made at weird angles, in weird positions, he was really adept at that. And you can't teach that. That's a skill.
He shot 39% from three on 8 threes per game. I mean, it's really good.
This kid he was my favorite player in the draft, and I think Utah got one. Walter Clayton Jr. The other one that surprised the hell out of me, have you guys seen the highlights? And he ends up in Portland via trade of 7'3" Yang Hansen from
He's
China.
got a little Jokic stuff
He does.
to him.
He does. He does. He's got some skill. He's a skillful Chinese center who's very raw. But my question was, how many centers is Portland going to have?
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you know how many centers they have on their roster?
I thought you were going to say he's from China and his last name is Hansen.
That is different.
But
his first name is Yang.
Well, I know his name is Yang.
No, but isn't the opposite? Isn't Chinese names the opposite, where your first name's your last name?
So his name's Hansen Yang?
I think his name's Hansen Yang.
So it was always Ming Yao
But
all along?
I don't know, actually.
So it was never Yao Ming, it was Ming Yao.
So look at this, Moshe. Here's what I'm talking about. So it says Yang Hansen here on the draft profile, right?
Right.
But down here, it says Hansen Yang highlight reel.
Yeah,
So I don't know how this goes.
I don't know.
Well, I do know this. He's 7'3", and he looks like he could play. Yeah, he played in the Chinese league. But they've got now 4 centers on their roster. Like, what do they do with DeAndre Ayton? Is he ever going to play?
What happened to Ayton?
I don't know. Something tells me DeAndre Ayton's going to end up with the Lakers.
Didn't Ayton miss a game because it was too icy to get to a
Yes.
game once? Isn't that right?
Yes. Something
You
tells me
think
he's
he's
going to
going
end
to
up
the
with Lakers.
Lakers? Well, fine.
You
Whatever.
know, I thought Phoenix got better. Phoenix drafted a center and traded for a center. They traded for that same center that the Lakers decided they didn't want out of Charlotte. Remember that guy?
Yeah, Mark Williams.
And they also drafted the center from Duke, who's 7'2". I thought Phoenix got better. Really liked their draft.
There's I don't know. It's so hard for me to judge because you guys kind of mentioned it. It's hard to keep track of players who only play for a year. You're like, you don't know.
I agree.
You don't know what you got. Like between a 1-year player or Hugo Gonzalez out of Spain. Like I don't know how I can remotely judge it.
How'd you do that, Nelly, so quick?
I have some editing software on my phone where I can just chop out the part where Moser. By the way, Brett, the best part of that video is how Moser tells you to bleep off, and then you just go, okay.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Why can't I do what you can do?
See, that's right. Yao Ming's jersey had Yao on the back of it.
Okay, so it just works in reverse.
I think so. Yeah, I think it's just reverse it.
So this
Okay,
guy's
so his real last name is Yang.
Hey, what's
his
up,
parents,
Hansen?
His parents are like, I like that name Hansen.
Yeah. I suppose so.
I mean, he's born and raised. I checked him out. I don't know him. Born and raised, big time China. Right?
What does big time China mean?
Like, it wasn't like he was, his parents were, international diplomats or anything like that. Like, he's born and raised China. It'd be like Jeff Yang out of China.
Yeah.
We just don't expect Hansen.
I agree with you. Yeah, I agree.
I think it's unique. It's interesting.
Here's something else I was thinking about yesterday. Because I've seen that this guy wants a chance to play somewhere. And I don't know what exactly that means. But there's 2 different people that came across my timeline as like, maybe these guys could fit. Vic, do you have any interest in a player that was
He only has an interest right now in making me look silly.
That is true.
That's his only interest in life, is to absolutely make me look silly. The keyword, by the way, this hour is snack. You heard it right. Snack with an N. Snack.
Simma snack.
Snacky snack.
Jonathan Kuminga hates Golden State. He wants out. Would you take Jonathan Kuminga?
No.
Why?
Too inconsistent.
Well, he said he's too inconsistent because he doesn't play enough there.
Well, give me an example of an ex-Golden State player who thrived when he left Golden State.
He's still really young.
Give me an example of a player playing next to Jokic that doesn't look better.
Yeah, I agree. He's still really young, Vic.
How much does he cost? I think he costs too much for the Nuggets' taste.
It's like the same contract as Zeke.
If you're asking me would I rather have him than Zeke,
Of course,
the answer is yes, please. And no offense to Zeke.
I'm sorry, not even that. His last
But he wants to get
his
paid.
last cap hit was 7.6, and now he's an RFA.
But he wants to get paid.
I think he just wants to go play somewhere. Here's another one. It's a show favorite. The Rockets will soon waive this player to create $8 million in additional cap flexibility.
Saw that. Lance Cockdale.
That's right. Old Lance Cockdale.
You would have a field day with him. His real name's Jock Landale, correct?
Not on this show. But yes, his birth name, Jock Landale.
Listen,
show,
there are a lot of names out there right now. I just don't know how active the Nuggets are going to be. Today, I'm going to be visiting with John Wallace and Ben Tenzer in a separate gathering. I'll ask.
What's a separate gathering?
He's got a
gathering.
He's got a thing. He's got peeps. Vic, the fact of the matter is they're going to be active in some capacity. They've got to fill.
I'm very important.
Yeah. They've got to fill a couple of spots. They have a couple of offers they can throw out there. The only question is who's it going to be to, and will that person take it? I would say this. I would make the case that playing with Nikola Jokic has gotten people paid, i.e. Bruce Brown and KCP. If you want to get paid, come in here on an MLE.
Oh, that's what you're asking.
And then, yeah, and then you'll get, we'll try to get you paid, whether it's here or someplace else. It's a little carrot to hold out there because the evidence speaks for itself. Jeremy Grant, the same kind of story. So you're going to get paid by somebody. Do you want to get paid in the future with a bigger deal than you can get right now? Then come play for us.
We got played yesterday. We're on the number 9 green as a group. And our gentleman, our friend JJ, my friend comes up and says, what did he say to us? And we all thought he was saying the truth.
Oh, he said, is your phone blowing up? We're like, what? Is your phone blowing up? Jamal Murray just got traded.
Yeah.
We're like, what?
We all lost it for a second. And then it turns out either he got,
I think he got,
or he tried to get us. But it sounded like he got. Because I think I saw what he was talking about. It was somebody doing one of these, what do you think of this trade thing?
Right.
And here's the deal.
And by the way, it took us about...
But it felt real at the time.
It took us about 14 seconds to realize that's a bunch of crap.
The Nuggets last year basically did 3 major things, it felt like. They traded up in the draft to go take Deron Holmes, which immediately turned into a season-ending injury the first game into Summer League. They went out and they took the MLE, and they signed Dario Saric, who didn't play. And then they got Russell Westbrook at the vet minimum, which I think worked.
It was great.
I mean,
he was your 6th man.
As far as value you got for the contract was above and beyond what you could have asked for.
Of course. Don't see him coming back, but...
If the other 2 things last year were better, I think you were fine. If Deron Holmes... Because I actually think Deron Holmes would have played. Even with
you
the stinginess
you can be hopeful. I don't...
What else were they going to do, though? I think Deron Holmes is going to play because Moj... The only other option that they saw that was even remotely going to work was playing DJ, and then the game started to matter, and he disappeared.
Ideally, you'd like to have some Zeke in there. Ideally.
But they didn't.
Obviously. So I guess my point is that who's to say that Malone would have played Deron Holmes, given him an opportunity or actually used him out of necessity? I don't know. I can't answer that question. I would hope, that he comes back and he's stronger and better and actually is a guy that contributes to this lineup.
I mean, he's going to be a big factor this offseason. And look, as far as the major trade stuff, I think we'd all be shocked if that happened, as we were all pretty shocked for a second yesterday when we thought that a Murray trade went down.
Now before we get to break here, let's give the people what they want.
Which is what?
We've lost him until the break anyway. It doesn't matter. Okay?
What?
Are you still editing something?
I'm not editing anything.
Oh.
You sure look like you are.
I'm not. No, Nelly did it for me.
Oh, really? You want to edit something?
No, I already did. I already sent it out.
I'll give you something to edit.
I sent out the video.
I lost yesterday in golf.
I wasn't going to mention it.
Oh, you weren't? No, you're just going to plaster it all over social media.
No, I was just that putt. I never mentioned that I beat you.
I missed a 2-footer for Bird. Yeah,
I never mentioned it.
Okay, I lost. In fact, I played like a left-handed wombat. I was awful.
Who else beat you?
You beat me too. You both beat me. And by the way, you both did not play very well.
No.
And I lost to that. It's a tragic day in the world of golf. I was terrible. I couldn't have been worse.
It was a weird day.
It really was a weird day. I was bad. Junk.
I had 3 birds.
Yeah, well,
he had a bomb.
Yeah, Brett made a 60-footer downhill to drive a dagger into me and Kivi's heart. It was horrible. Vic made a 35, 40-footer to do the same thing for God knows what reason. Brett sculled one out of the bunker.
Don't talk. You hit one into a lake and out of a lake. Shut up.
It's on purpose. Wanted to show you how to skip it. Anyway, for those of you who want to know, yeah, I lost. Not only did I play awfully and lose, I lost money to Vic.
You didn't lose money. You made it back by drinking it.
That's true.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah.
Don't forget I paid for your drinks. So you made money yesterday.
Yeah, we'll call it even.
I'll tell you this right now. There is nothing. I don't think there's a bigger joy in sports
than watching me lose and miss a 2-footer for birdie and to have the hole.
Than watching an exasperated Moj who doesn't know what to do.
I know, he was just at wit's end. Because I was talking so much trash.
Well, he did earlier. He did on the show that day.
But there was nothing he could do to answer it.
I was terrible. I could not believe it.
Unfair.
I mean, I hit some darts, and the problem was
you birdied the first hole.
I know I birdied the first hole.
Dude, did you see? So he birdies the first hole, beats me on the first hole, and he's like, so what do you want to play for? He's like getting all.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, whatever. It's first hole. And then on the second hole, he changed the bet.
This is where you know that Moser's done with his round. Me and Vic are on a team. Vic says something to me like, nice putt or something. And Moser goes, nice putt! That's how you know he's done.
Yeah, I played so... It was embarrassing.
All right, one last reminder. Keyword for this hour is snack. So text that in your first and last name to 303-504-0925. That's our Core 4 Score contest. Get in on it now. Back after this.
Score. Dan Kaplis Law has a motto that works, and the motto is simple. Truth wins. In high-stakes personal injury cases, it takes a lot of skill, experience, resources, and ferocious determination to find and prove the truth. Dan Kaplis Law has proven it's very good at finding and proving truth, which is why it's won so much. Take a look at Dan's track record, record-setting results, including an unheard of 5 straight multi-million-dollar jury verdicts in Colorado crash cases. It only happens when your cause is true, and that's why Dan Kaplis Law is the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Kaplis Law, a serious firm for serious cases with offices in North Denver, Tech Center, Fort Collins, Loveland, Greeley. If you need Dan's help, call him today, 303-770-5551. That's 303-770-5551. Or hit him up at dankapleslaw.com.
Hey, as the draft was going on, I had my TV also tuned to the Rocks.
Yep.
Who lost again.
Yep.
You'd like that, wouldn't you?
Nope. That was a downpour during that game. Did you see
I
that?
mean,
hardcore.
So they're getting ripped. Nelly, I'm going to send you a video real quick if you could pull it up on the screen behind us. There was a play that opened up the scoring because it was pretty much about 5 scoreless innings, and then the Dodgers got on the board. And how they got on the board was weird because that downpour that was coming in it's like, I think the umpires are like, let's get out of this half inning. There's 1 out left. We'll do that, and then we'll call the delay. Unfortunately, there was guys on second and third with 2 outs. Pop fly between first and second. Estrada calls for the ball. And I don't know if rain got in his eye or what happened. He then couldn't see it, and it ends up almost hitting Tolia on top of the head, which scored 2 runs, which started sort of the downfall of the rest of the game. So look at this video.
Jeez.
So, I mean, it's a downpour.
You can't even see.
Estrada calls the ball and then goes, oh, I can't see it. And then it hits right next to Tolia.
So at that point when you can't see it, is it the lights or the rain? What's interfering?
I think that's the rain.
Has to be the rain, dude. It was pouring.
The lights don't really affect fly balls like that. The sun can, but not lights. It's just the rain. I bet some rain got in his eye and messed him up for a second, and then he lost it.
These guys were soaked.
But that's how the scoring started. Now, the Rockies come back, and they put a run back up on the board. So it's a 3-1 game heading into the 7th.
Then your all-star came in.
And Jake Bird he came in earlier than that, but it was the 7th, right? He gives up 2 base runners, but gets 2 outs, and then one more guy gets on. So bases are loaded with 2 outs, and they say, you know what? Let's make a call to the bullpen. Bird, nice job. Let's bring in somebody else. Get the last out. Get back to the bats. 3 pitches into the next at bat with Tyler Kinley. That ball leaves the park, and the game is over after a grand slam. There you go. That's the end of the ball game. So your little 2-minute update on the Rocks from last night as they lose 8-1 to the Dodgers.
When's
that
the last
rain
time?
was crazy, though.
When's the last time? Well, I know the last time. It was 2018, where you could say that the Colorado Rockies could compete with the LA Dodgers. 2018 was the last time.
It's been quite a long time, dude.
Yeah.
It's been quite a long time.
It's the last time they were a playoff team, really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've played 5 games this year. Rockies have won none. They've been competitive in a couple of them.
What was the crowd like? Was it still Dodgerland
all Dodgers.
East? Was it?
It's all Dodgers.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what's interesting.
Is there that many LA folks among us?
Yeah. There's that many people. Yamamoto, what do you think of him?
I don't know. He was good last night.
I think he's pretty good. You realize he's 7-6 on the season, right?
That's what I'm saying. He's been okay.
Yeah, he's got a 2.61 ERA.
7-6,
and he's 7-6 on the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got a 2.61 on the Dodgers, you should be 13-0. It feels like you should be anyway, because those guys rake. I don't get that. That's a bizarre stat to me, but that's who he is, man. He's pretty dang good. The Dodgers get whatever they want. They get all they want whenever they want. It's ridiculous.
So I just saw this story late last night, Moj, and I don't understand this at all. At first, I noticed it from Kevin Weeks, who said, among the many items being discussed in CBA negotiations between the NHL and NHLPA, Greg Wyshynski and I can report that a potential change from 82 to 84 regular season games is among them, in which Pierre LeBrun backs it up with, I've reported on this before. The idea in going to 84 regular season games starting in 26-27 would be in conjunction with reducing the preseason as a part of it, perhaps going down to 4 preseason games.
Perfect. That's fine. But part of the reason that they want to go to 84 is because inside the division, it's not balanced, right? Inside the division. Because you're playing every team on their ice and your ice, okay?
Yeah.
And then when you have 32 teams, to get the schedule correct, like you'll play in like if this year you played one time in Winnipeg, twice in Denver, next year it'll be twice in Denver, or once in Denver, twice in Winnipeg. I mean, it goes back and forth. And some teams you play 4. So it's an imbalance, and they want to try to fix that. So if you want to take away some preseason, that's fine with me to make it happen. Although 84 games seems like a really long time.
I couldn't believe that they would actually experiment with more hockey games.
Exactly.
That's crazy to me.
It feels weird, but the idea be that some teams are I don't care about it, but some teams are whining and moaning about the imbalanced in-division
So the answer is to
schedule.
play more? That's crazy.
That is weird to me.
Well, just saying. Pick your poison. What do you want?
It is funny that all. I feel like if you ask all these players, they're like, look, if anything, can we just get this thing cut down a little bit? And the NFL's like, no, I think we're going to go to 20 games here in a couple of years. And the NHL's like, I think adding a couple of more isn't the worst idea.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no reducing anything. It's always going to be like, how much more can we expand?
Well, the amount of money, I mean, those 2 games, I mean, when you talk about preseason games, there's, it's not packed, right?
Yeah, but for the players, it's like, yeah, but it's preseason.
Right. Well, I mean, the big guns only play in 1 or 2 preseason games anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see how the NHLPA feels about it, but if they're discussing it, they've got to sweeten the deal a little bit somehow.
Is there ever going to be like a cutoff for some of these sports about how much they want to expand the regular season? Like I've wondered this too. So let's say it wasn't 84 games, Mose. Let's say they said, let's go 90 for whatever reason. I'm just going to throw 90 out there because that'd be a pretty drastic jump from 82 to 90. Does that change the salaries for the players?
See, that's the thing is I don't think it does.
Do they get an extra 8 game checks out of this or
you
not?
You have to go back to the CBA bargaining table for that to happen. Like this whole NBA issue that's going on right now with the CBA. By the way, the folks in Boston they're just beside themselves saying that the CBA is a joke because look what it's done to the Boston Celtics.
Oh.
And I'm watching.
Well, they're not wrong, man. I hate the CBA.
I'm watching this video of their Boston Celtics post game analysis, from their draft, and they said that it's so funny how the other side looks at it one way. They see the CBA as Adam Silver's just trying to protect the small markets like OKC. They're protecting small markets. That's what it is. We're looking at it as like, it's protecting small markets unless you develop and draft the players that you're going to potentially have to pay for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's the way I see it. If the NBA ever wants to change their rules, they can change them. It's easily changeable. Change them. They don't want to change them. They can complain about them.
Right.
And we all complain about them. But why would you change them?
Well, I think the small markets should be protected. I'm not as much as I don't dislike Utah, they should be protected. Charlotte should be protected. You need all these markets to be successful if you're the Boston Celtics. You can't just put everybody out of business.
I agree.
You bunch of morons.
I've told you why teams like Boston, teams like Chicago and LA have a distinct advantage. And we've talked about this, you and I, before. Does everybody understand how much money the Lakers make in their local television and media package?
It's incredible.
Do you understand how much money they make?
Yep.
It is more than the entire Northwest Division's revenue combined. Do you know how much excess money they make over other teams just locally from their because they're in a big market? And Boston does the same.
Yep.
But that's a huge advantage. So if you don't place some restrictions on it, then who's going to win? It's going to be it's going to be the Dodgers all over again.
But who's going to see? But here's the thing. With the rules as they are now, in 4 years, OKC's not going to be able to have Chet and Jalen Williams and Shea.
No, they're going to have to shed people.
They're going to be in the same situation everybody else gets into, which is I don't think I can have 3 guys making that amount of money on my team. So where is the odd man out going to go?
Right. I agree.
Probably the Lakers or the Celtics or one of these big teams, right?
Yep.
It still kind of favors them in
or the
an
Knicks
odd way.
Or whatever the case may be. I guess if you want some positivity from the NHL, the positivity is the CBA. I mean, both sides are pretty happy.
Yeah.
This shouldn't be an issue to get a new CBA done, which is great. There's no talk of, lockouts or strikes or missed time or both. I mean, there's a good communication. Both sides want some tweaks, which they can probably get to, but we're not looking at any kind of major issues that would require a work stoppage whatsoever. That's great news.
You know what today is? It's the opening round of the Senior Open down at the Broadmoor. Our boy Matt Schalk, who's on our show the other day, he's teeing off in about 2 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Go get him, Matty.
Matt.
How do we track him?
Probably on the U.S. Senior Open website.
I don't think there's a U.S. Senior Open website.
Of course there is.
What do you mean?
USGA, bruh.
Oh, yeah, you're right. USGA. Okay, I'll find it. Thank you.
Bruh. Underway at the Broadmoor. Full coverage.
All right. Yeah, I got it.
Bruh.
Yep, I'm staring at it right now.
Bruh.
Yeah, I got it too.
Bruh.
No, Schalk is already through threes, even through three so far.
Oh, he is? Okay.
We'll get him, Eddie.
So, 303-504-0925, Shop Mazda, text line, one price, one person, 1 hour. Back after this. So what we have on the Circus Sportsbook is obviously some baseball going on right now, which they will have all season long, along with all of the game props. But keep an eye on golf as well. Big tournaments around the corner. They always have the latest odds for all of the best tournaments coming up, and there's nowhere better than the Circus Sportsbook to put a couple of bucks down on some stuff. So download the app right now. Tight money line splits, low holds, and excellent customer service. Or go to circusports.com, and always remember, any gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
I just found out that Moser and Bear are on the exact same United flight my parents are to Italy in July. So you can take care of them now.
Actually, yeah, we will. I'm sure that well, here's what's going to happen.
The exact same flight.
She's going to say, I want to sit next to Bambina. I want to talk to her.
Mm-hmm.
You go hang with Easy. I'll say, all right. And we'll just sleep the whole way.
That should be a conversation.
Me and Easy will sleep the whole way. It's all good. So Nuggets didn't do anything last night. Tomorrow night is the NHL draft.
Yeah.
See if the Avs do anything coming up tomorrow night, but it seems sort of uneventful, right?
The NHL still does everything in one night, correct? Or is
no, they've gone the same way.
Oh, they have?
Yeah, first round tomorrow night. Yeah.
And then multiple rounds the day after.
Correct.
And all these teams, all these leagues are doing that now. They all have taken a page.
And this is
going to
be the first. This is going to be the first time where the teams are actually not at the draft. They're going to do it like, you know how the NHL would have the tables all, and everybody's gathered around all the tables.
That was cool.
Well, I did too, but this is the first year where they're going quote remote.
Why?
All leagues are doing remote except the players, right? The NFL does remote.
Yeah.
The NBA does remote. I don't even know what baseball does. It's got to be remote.
But don't you want people there?
What for?
The fans. Don't you want people involved in it?
The fans will still be there.
Yeah, I guess they will.
I mean, the fans will be there. All that is still available. But the players will come out and be with the commissioner, I guess, or assistant commissioner Bill Davis.
Avs don't pick till the fourth round, correct?
That is correct. But one of the cool things I always thought was cool about the NHL is that you would have the player on stage and then you'd have all the brass, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'd have the GM, the coach, the scouts, everybody. You get that one picture of the kid, right, with all of your team, which I always thought was pretty cool, but they're getting away from that. We'll see how it goes because I don't know. I think that people in the NHL like being at the draft. They like being there. They like, or at least most of them do, or some of them do. We'll see how it goes. Maybe it'll come back someday, but this is the first time they're going to do it remotely.
All right, so you tell me how it works in the NHL. The NBA, now that the draft is upon us and day 2 tonight, after the draft is when all of these options are picked up or declined. It's when free agency essentially starts. It's when movement really gets going. It was around this time in years past where the Nuggets did most of their dealing. It was around this time when they acquired KCP.
Right.
When they acquired Bruce Brown. It's around this time after the draft. So this is when things heat up. I just don't know what they can or are willing to do.
Right.
I just don't know what it is. Because the decisions to be made, for example, Russell Westbrook, that's his decision. He opted out. He can do what he wants. That's his call. He can go wherever he wants. Dario Saric opting back in when it becomes official, that's up to the Nuggets to decide what they want to do with Dario.
Correct. Yep.
Some big decisions to be made here in the next few weeks.
Speaking of decisions, have you seen the story that's circulating about Jonathan Drouin? It's very unlikely, according to reports, that he'll be back with the Avs. He was making 2.5. Will he make more than that someplace else? I mean, he had 37 points in 43 games. The problem, he's been injured, right? And the Avs are up against it right now. They couldn't, if they wanted to give him another contract at 2.5 per, they could, but they'd have to shed salary someplace else.
Well, I think they kind of made that decision the second they signed Brock, right? Like the Brock Nelson contract seemed to me an indicator that they were done with Jonathan Drouin.
Right. And, of course, Gabe is back. He's back. Will you be sad if Jonathan Drouin leaves Colorado?
I thought he was fine. He was better than maybe I expected, but there was, obviously there's some injury troubles where he had trouble just staying on the ice, but it felt like last year was sort of not up to par late in the year, is the way I'd put it. Would you agree?
I would say so, yeah. In the postseason, he didn't really do a whole lot, right?
Yeah.
And his ice time dropped in the postseason. He wasn't incredibly effective. But, he'll parlay that. If he can stay healthy, he's only 30 years old. If he can stay healthy, 37 points in 43 games it's attractive to other teams.
Sure.
I mean, he's going to get a contract with somebody, obviously.
Yeah, he'll find a job somewhere. You know, there's
by the way, I like him a lot, Brett. As a dude, I really like Jonathan Drouin.
Yeah.
I don't know that he's not replaceable, though. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think you can find people that can take what his production was.
Or spread it around or something like that.
By the way, speaking of contracts, Pierre LeBrun had this just a second ago, that the Dallas Stars and Captain Jamie Benn are very close to a contract. Should get done today.
I thought Dallas was out of money and they couldn't re-sign their guys.
They are.
Well, they got Duchesne. They got Ben.
Right.
They got rid of Marchment.
I wonder what he's going to get, what his ticket will be.
What do you think?
I have no idea. He made 5, right? I think he made 5, if I'm not mistaken. But he's 35 years old, but he's also their captain. No, he made more than that. My bad. He made the cap hit was 9.5, but the actual cash that he got was 6.5. Because early in that contract, he made 13 per for 3 years. Cap hit was all the same, though, at 9.5. So I don't know what he's going to get. I really have no idea. I have no clue.
You know, do you think we've kind of talked about this with some other teams, especially in the NBA, but is Dallas in a spot right now contractually where they are not as much of a threat next year? Do you think?
They just have a lot of question marks. First of all, coaching.
Yeah.
Second of all, they still have great players on that team.
They do.
They're great players on the roster.
Like the Avs, they have less than $2 million under the cap.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you re-sign Ben, first of all, if you re-sign Ben, it's not going to be for under $2 million per, I wouldn't think, for your captain. And
unless he's being really friendly to you. I mean,
he'd have to be incredibly friendly. I'm gonna give you a kissy kiss.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how friendly he'd have to be. But you know, the Donoff is old. Granlund's he's not old, but he's getting up to. They're gonna miss some guys. Yes, they're gonna lose some guys. I can't see how they bring back Cody Ceci unless they move out more salary like they did with Mason Marchment. They said bye.
What do you think is in store for the Avs?
So obviously they've lost Mason Marchment.
Yeah,
and they're going to lose a couple more depth players for sure.
What do you think's in store for the Avs, though? Like, we talk a lot about what the Nuggets can do or what moves they need to make, what you'd like to see. I mean, where did the Avs find the holes that they have? Like, how do they fill those with the limited cap space?
I guess I'll ask the question this way. Would it surprise you if the Avs made a trade in the next week? During the draft,
I don't know that I'd be shocked. Yeah. No. But, look, Jimmy Vesey wasn't coming back anyway. I don't know what they're going to do with Kivy. Maybe, he'll take an incredibly friendly team deal. I don't know. Lindgren, I can assume, is gone. I'd have to assume. I would like to think the best case scenario will be that somebody can elevate their game and move into the lineup. Look, somebody's going to get that opportunity because Logan O'Connor is going to be out for quite a while.
Yeah, and that sucks.
Yeah, it does suck. But, I mean, there will be a couple of spots open at camp as of right now, especially in the back end probably.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Like, especially with the you've got your top two pairs as of right now. It's still Taves and McCarr, and then it's Gerard and Manson. But after that, I mean, is it like Malinsky and is Middleton still under contract?
Yeah, he is. He's on a one-way next year.
Okay.
He's on a one-way. Or no, maybe it's a two-way. I think it might be a two-way this coming season and then a one-way the following year. Keaton Middleton is just a great teammate and a big dude that you can put in there and not have to worry about, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you know what you're going to get out of him, so if the predictability factor is there, that's good for Jared Bednar. Malinsky's an RFA, but that'll get done. That's not really, I don't think, that big of a deal. Okay, and Malinsky played a lot for you this year. So who's that other opportunity going to go to? EJ is 37. I think he'd like to continue to play hockey. I don't know that it's going to be here, but I think he'd like to continue to play someplace, right? He's got a little left in the tank. So we'll see. I don't know what it looks like once we get to camp, but if they did a deal, Vic, I guess I wouldn't be completely shocked. But what the ideal situation would be, hey, man, you've drafted kids. You're developing kids with the Eagles. Can somebody?
Well, who are you talking about? I mean,
well, I don't know.
Ivan?
Well, I mean,
you saw some of Ivan last year.
It'd be great. It'd be great if you could, right? I don't know.
The Eagles had a good year too, right?
A very good year, yeah, a very good year.
I don't know. It's always whenever you bring up the prospect of trading somebody on the Avs, the name that pops up all the time is Girard. I get the feeling that the people in charge of the Avs like Girard more than a lot of these fans do. Yes.
Well, I mean, look, he's obviously a terrific skater. He's an excellent puck mover. I guess I don't know what people want out of him. What do you want out of him?
If Sammy G had the same game,
you want more scoring. I mean, what do you want?
Well, here's what I wonder: if Sammy G had the exact same numbers and style of play, but he was 6'2" instead, would people shut up?
Maybe. I don't know.
Is it literally just because he's tiny? Is what I'm asking.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, does he get pushed around in the postseason? The guy, whatever he lacks in physical stature, and by the way, he played with a chip on his shoulder.
Yes, he did.
In that series. I got no problems with that. His puck movement is excellent. His ability to retrieve, his stick work is excellent. Positioning is very good.
Create space.
Yeah, the ability to create space in the O-zone and find guys is good. His ability to retrieve the puck and get it out of the zone is good. I don't know what you don't like, or what do you want more for the money, right?
Yeah.
Maybe more scoring. I mean, I think he's certainly capable, but he defers plenty. But
bottom line for the Avs is their best players have to play their best hockey at the most important times. That's it. And if that was achieved, we have a different way to look back at this season.
Dude, if that's achieved, you might be in a Stanley Cup final. Yeah. I'm not saying you would be. I'm not saying that you'd beat Winnipeg in round 2, but I think you would. I'm not saying you'd beat the Oil in the Western Conference final, but you certainly could.
Put yourself in position.
Hell yeah.
Do you guys know who Jacob Wilson is? Jacob Wilson. Story on ESPN.com. He's shortstop for the A's. Probably going to make the All-Star game. 23 years old.
Don't really know about him.
Batting .347. He says one of the reasons why he's playing so well, and he's on the cusp of stardom, he's one of the favorites for American League Rookie of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
He says the secret ingredient to his game is before he goes to the ballpark, playing Fortnite. Quote, kids are going to love this one. Parents are going to hate me. I'm a big believer in video games. It's fast decision-making strategy. I think it gets me ready for the game because when you're in the box, you have to process a lot. So there's some days there where I wake up and I'll play video games, and I'll go to the field and I'll have a good day. Some days I won't play video games, and then I don't see the ball well. I think it really helps me train the kind of decision-making that I have to make 6-7 hours later at the baseball field.
You're going to hate this answer, but I think I don't know if it's true or not, but I can see it.
Look, I don't hate the answer. I just don't, I don't play video games, so I would not understand it. So me being judgmental about video games is one of ignorance.
So
I don't understand
it.
If
Vic played video games, does that mean he could dunk?
No.
Oh.
Would it make me? Hey, I'll tell you right now. If playing video games dropped my handicap,
I'd
be playing all day.
Yeah,
like a freak. I'd be freaking out with these freaks.
Maybe I need to play more because I played like crap yesterday. I was awful.
So I've known a couple of the people that are like really big gamer types. It does do and I'll tell you what, those people, incredibly smart. I don't know if there's some correlation to it.
Yeah, there's a lot of dumb people who play video games too.
That is true, but I'm saying there is you have to make quick decisions. It does help you react, I suppose.
Yeah, but don't you have to make quick decisions in a lot of things?
Not really. Moser stood over his ball for 5 minutes before he hit it yesterday.
That's a good point. You took forever, dude. Hit the ball. My God.
I was having a bad day.
Yeah, but there was one approach shot on 16 where you hit it into the bunker. We were sitting there going, Kibbe could have played the ball three times before you swung.
I know. I was awful. I feel bad for
so
my
you
partner.
tell me. Moj, I'll tell you what. Next time we go out and play some Fortnite for 30 minutes before you go out there. Let's see if that helps you at all.
I don't even have a console anymore.
What is Fortnite?
I've never played the game, but I don't know.
Do you build things? What do you do?
So what's the difference?
What's the difference
between playing that and playing with Legos? Like if I go get an assemblage of Legos and I start just putting stuff together, I got to make quick decisions.
Well, in Fortnite, you're building,
but you can get shot.
Yes, you're building defenses, but you're also attacking the other team. Like you're on a mission to beat the other team.
Why is everything so violent?
That's
quick decisions.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose.
Hey, you guys want to come over and play ping pong sometime?
Nope.
Okay.
No.
Next keyword.
I played last weekend.
Coming your way in 5 minutes. Stick around.
Where are you going this summer? I know you're hitting the road because everybody hits the road for some reason during the summertime. And if you're going to do it, and we know that you are, do it in a brand new ride from Silterhar Motors in Broomfield. They're going to give you the most for your trade. That I can promise you. They've got amazing deals. The employee pricing right now will last until July 7th. So you've got time to get on that. And over 1,100 new and pre-owned vehicles on the lot right now. Right there waiting for you to go and check them out. Get where you're going in style. Greg Larson's going to hook you up. Get the Highway 36 in Wadsworth and Broomfield or shop online early at sthmotors.com. sthmotors.com. It's Silterhar. Everything you want out of a dealership. Hey, I want to remind everybody that coming up tomorrow is the National Hockey League draft, and while the Avalanche do not have a first-round pick or a second-round pick or a third-round pick yet, maybe yet, I'm going to be down with Connor. We're going to go hang out with Avalanche fans at Tom's Watch Bar downtown. How does that sound?
So you're going to be watching the draft?
Yeah, and we'll shoot the breeze with hockey fans about the Avs and about, all that kind of good stuff. So come on down and hang out with us at Tom's Watch Bar.
You ought to lay out a little AstroTurf and provide some putting clinics for people.
Your keyword for this hour, every hour on the 20s, your Core 4 Score contest, a chance for one person to win autographed jerseys from Jokic, Murray, Gordon, and Porter. Keyword for this hour is sheep.
What?
Sheep.
As in?
Like a sheep.
Mary had a little?
Yeah.
As in bat? Like Stevie Nicks?
Sheep in your first and last name, 303-504-0925. That is sheep in your first and last name, 303-504-0925. All of that. Yeah. Courtesy to our friends at Revitalized Health, custom health solutions to revitalize your health today. Visit revitalize-health.com. Moser, we just passed by Revitalized Health the other day.
Yeah, we did. Actually, yesterday we did. Brett and I passed right by Revitalized Health. So thank you, Revitalized Health. Looked pretty busy too. A lot of people in there getting well. Hey,
I got something real quick for you.
I do. Does Stevie Nicks sound more like a goat or a sheep? When she gets in that, what does she sound like? A goat or is it, what's the like? If you play a goat,
I mean, I know who
like
Stevie
Nelly,
Nicks is. I don't know what you're referencing.
Nelly, play a goat and play a sheep, and then don't tell me what's what. Let me try to guess.
Did I ever tell you about my pet goat Jake that we killed and ate for Easter when I was 12?
I remember that. You came home one day and he was just upside down.
I don't know. I don't remember.
I bet he tasted pretty good. A lot of people eat goats, man.
You
eat Nikola Jokic?
Don't mention goats or sheep. That's the first thing that comes to mind for me, and I don't want to talk about it.
I've got a great sheep story.
Sounds like another good one, another banger from Moj.
I don't know what
the high pitched one was a goat. The high pitched was a goat.
Yeah, those were all goat sounds. Yes.
Oh, they're all goats. All right, cool. So we're in Normandy, right, at this big barbecue, and Dominique, they got this fire pit, and they got this lamb on the pit going round and round and round in this thing, right?
Is it pit or spit?
Okay. Well, he's on a spit, but it's over a pit.
Gotcha.
So let me ask a stupid question.
Yeah.
What's the difference between a sheep, a goat, and a lamb?
Well, a lamb is a baby sheep. Petit mouton, oui?
Okay.
C'est va? Okay. So
goats had the little horns.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah.
So I'm talking to my buddy Dominique. He's a great guy, and he's in charge of this, getting this sheep cooked for the barbecue, right?
Okay.
And so I'm shooting the breeze, and I got a cold in my hand, and I asked him, where did he get the sheep? And where did he find this lamb? He goes, Mark. And he points to next door. He points to the next field over, has sheep in it.
He just stole it?
No, he went and made a deal with his buddy.
Oh.
He grabbed himself a lamb out of the yard and brought it home and said, all right, we're having a barbecue.
See, this is...
And he just pointed to the field full of sheep.
How do you think it works in Villa?
Perhaps the least Nebraska thing about me is that I've never milked a cow. And
that's what somebody who milked a lot of cows would say.
You don't barter farm animals?
I don't think I have no problem with eating meat. I love going to the meat section of the store.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I could butcher my own unless it's like survival mode. I couldn't go out, shoot a deer, gut it, and do all that. I can't.
If you were lost in the wilderness,
if I had to do it, then I would. But I'm saying, like, these guys are like, yeah, when I got this deer and I made jerky out of it, it's like I couldn't do that on my own.
All right, well, see if you can identify this sound. Is this a sheep or a goat?
It sounds like a goat on acid.
What was that from?
I don't know.
What was that from?
There was one day
you were making noises to start a show, and you pissed Vic off.
Yes, because you make those stupid noises at the start of every show where you just can't get.
You hear that again, Nelly?
Well, there was some. I can't remember if it's the Maple Leafs or the Senators, but there was some team, and you say that their style of play is like a tractor, and so Vic and Brett were trying to talk, and you were going, they play hockey like or something like that.
NBA. It sounded like a goat on acid.
Like a goat on acid. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Anyway, that's my sheep story. I'm sorry to, but it's a good story, right? I mean,
Yeah.
because I wasn't even thinking about it. I'm like, where do you get the lamb from? And he's like, right there. And he just pointed to the next field over. Hysterical.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I have a question.
By the way, sorry, the key word is sheep. There you go. Okay, that's how we got there. Go ahead.
We made fun of the Bengals because the Bengals have a refusal to pay their players, or at least they're stingy about it. They're cheap. That's the notorious nature surrounding. I don't get it. And we'll talk to, maybe Legwold's got a better answer. We'll talk to him in half an hour. But it doesn't make sense. But I was thinking about Sean Payton is. The playoffs, and they had a rookie quarterback. And I think it was very obvious last year that he was missing, I think, some weapons offensively that you'd like to have.
So you're saying there was a connection with that and why he's not signed yet?
No. I was just, the first thing is the first thing. I was curious as to why he wasn't signed yet.